The G1 Worst Ever.
So, hi, here's Uwe Ball.
So literally a decade ago, we roll back into vampire mania. So we've got Bram Stoker's Dracula coming to life, we've got Dracula 2000, we've got Underworld, we've got Twilight in a few years, the whole country vampire crazy, right? So at this point they're grabbing for ideas. They're like, we gotta grab this idea, like, it's gonna print money, you gotta grab ideas. And so they grab onto this little game called Blood Rain. They're like, let's make this into a movie. It's got a sexy female lead, she's got red hair, she drinks blood, got it. Boys all over the country will love it. It's gonna be fan service all day long. And they made this beautiful, beautiful monstrosity. And I will read you the plot point from IMDb so you can get the scope if you've never seen it. This is a very small movie. In the 18th century, a vampire escapes from the freak show she once participated in and teams up with a group of vampire slayers to kill the man who raped her mother. Literal plot. Oh my gosh. So they got the main character from Terminator 3, she was the bad guy, and then they had Michael Madison, they got Ben Kingsley, some good players, but then they filmed it in like a dungeon where there's like torches, and that's all the light you get is torches, and it's dim, and they filmed it like the same dungeon, you can tell because everything looks the same. No, but it's awful, like everything's super orange, you can't tell what color things are, I don't even think the actresses are wearing makeup, like what is going on here? And acting atrocious. I think a 5-year-old could have written better lines for any of them and delivered them better than any of them because they just shove new plot points. They're like, and we're moving the plot along. Here's a necklace. Here's some more necklaces. You need a necklace? There's more necklaces. There's a lot of necklaces in this particular movie. There's blood everywhere. There's just blood. This is Quentin Tarantino's daydream. Just blood everywhere. It's on the main actress, it's on other people, it's on random bystanders in the background. They took Blood Rain literally. They were going to make it rain blood in this movie. But my favorite part about this entire movie in general is this inside joke my mother and I got together, and through this movie there's this scene transition. It happens a couple times where they are transitioning from one area to another, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't tell you how far these two places are. It just they assume it's a great distance, so they go by horseback. It's 18th century. They don't have cars, so literally they have this sweeping helicopter shot. Like, it must cost thousands of dollars to have them roaming across this countryside just on horseback, and it's just like, no joke. Horse riding, just horse riding, and we're horse riding, and we're horse riding, and we're horse riding. It's very much, they're trying to lengthen the time of the movie, obviously. So anytime any other movie does this sort of trick where they try to lengthen the movie by using some mundane camera trick, and we'll just look at each other and just be like, like, no joke. It's been happening for years now. It's great. And for all those above reasons, this is why Blood Rain is the single most awful video game movie ever. No one made other jokes besides me and my mom, and forever we'll just know as
Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Why is it the worst ever video game movie, you might ask? Well, the original Mortal Kombat was so much better than it had any right to be. It minimized the uses of CGI, and it maximized its actual realistic props. For instance, Goro had an actual suit that a guy would wear, and the bottom two arms were actually his arms, and then the top two were this dude controlling it. The fight scenes were actually really good, especially the ones choreographed by Robin Shou, who played Liu Kang. And it was super corny, it was super cheesy, but it was just really good. So how did Mortal Kombat Annihilation turn out so bad? Robin Shou was really the only character that came back, and all the new male characters were portrayed to be these scumbag dick faces. Raiden is this powerful lightning god who has to take on a mortal form in order to compete in Mortal Kombat, or at least at the very least to interact with other mortals. He shows up out of nowhere, and he looks at Robin Shou's character, and he's like,
"Who's the girl? Can she fight as good as she looks?"
"Why are you such a scumbag? You are an immortal god. People look up to you, man." It does one thing that is completely accurate to the games, which is everybody moves around by jumping and doing front flips and back flips. But as a movie, that is stupid. The acting is bad, the directing is bad, all the male characters are scumbags. The visual effects, because I honestly don't even know if I can call it CGI, the visual effects look terrible. Every character moves around by doing backflips and front flips, which is accurate to the game, but it looks stupid on camera. And again, this movie was following Mortal Kombat, which was so good. How did it end up so terrible? For that reason and that reason alone, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is the worst ever video game movie. Period.
Why is Pixels the worst video game movie ever made? Well, gee, I wonder. Do you think Adam Sandler has anything to do with this? And before you think I'm picking on an easy target with that statement, I assure you, this is the most Adam Sandler that this man has ever been. He is not funny once in this movie. It's almost commendable how utterly devoted he is to sucking the entertainment value out of every single scene that's focused on him. And if you want a perfect example of that, that guy who's supposedly the creator of Pac-Man in this film, he's not. He's just an actor that's representing him. Good job. At least Blood Rain is pretending to be about a red-haired badass vampire chick with arm blades. At least Alone in the Dark is pretending that it's a horror film. At least the Resident Evil movies are pretending that they're about the continued horrible experiments of the Umbrella Corporation. This film doesn't even try. It can't even competently trick people into thinking it's about video games, because people can sense that kind of thing. Even people who know nothing about the culture going into it as an audience can sense when you're being genuine. And while I can think of many words that could be used to describe this film, that is not one of them. And if you can look me in the eye and tell me that Happy Gilmore Studios, of all people, could approach a culture that they don't specialize in to begin with and can treat it with respect, dignity, and a little bit of winking self-aware humor, I've got a photoshopped house to sell you. Dead to rights, ladies and gentlemen. Dead to rights.
Alright G1 Nation, when it comes to the worst ever video game movie, for my money you can do absolutely no worse than the 2005 Alone in the Dark movie, and I can sum it up for you in 2 words. Uwe Boll. And actually, hold on just a second, I think I have Mr. Boll on the line and he has a message for us. Uwe, what is your message, sir?
And basically my message is, fuck yourself.
Oh my god, rude! Well, you know your movie's doomed when you have a name like that attached to the project, and it's really too bad because they actually had a competent actor for their lead role of Edward Carnby, Christian Slater. And if you've followed his body of work, you know he's done quite a number of good films, such as True Romance, but I get the distinct feeling watching his performance he took this job to go ahead and pay the bills and not so much leave his mark on cinematic history. As with any video game movie, it strays from the source material wildly, and it doesn't take long for this to start happening. Originally conceptualized as a cinematic telling of Alone in the Dark 4, Slater is supposed to be Edward Carnby, who works for Bureau 713, and to the film's credit, Bureau 713 was only mentioned passing in the game. So, there's that. But it goes completely off the rails after that. Carnby is supposed to be investigating the disappearance of a Mayan-like culture called the Abanki that disappeared thousands of years ago, and only now artifacts are starting to show up. The difference between this culture and the Mayans is that they worship demon-like creatures from another dimension. Yikes! The game is supposed to be a suspenseful thriller with supernatural elements added to the gameplay, but the movie ended up being a poor man's supernatural action movie with an incredibly boring gunfight standoff at the very end. No amount of Tara Reid's gonna save this movie. Oh yeah, that's right, she's in the movie, but you wouldn't know that if you picked it up on DVD because all of her scenes got cut out of it for whatever reason. Even with Reed's scenes cut out of the movie, it's still a narrative mess. You know, Carnby as a character historically has always been down on his luck and a normal guy caught up in a supernatural situation. Now with Slater's character, he has been upped to a supernatural detective with superhuman abilities. It's just incredibly disrespectful to the source material. And it wasn't always going to be this way either. A guy named Blair Erickson was supposed to be writing a screenplay that was closer to the roots of the series, but Uva wasn't gonna hear it. And there was a tremendous amount of money that went into the marketing for this. I remember seeing ads in print, on TV, and especially on radio. I would hear Howard Stern read a radio spot for this movie almost every day that I went into work for 3 weeks. And even Howard, with his widely accepted views of the world, had the "what the hell is this" sound going on in his voice. The movie would only make just under $3 million its opening weekend and only $10 million for its entire run, falling well short of the $20 million budget that was handed to them. Mission accomplished, Uva. But despite all odds, when this movie was released on DVD, it went on to be the #1 selling DVD in Germany, France, and Austria for 3 weeks in a row for reasons I will never understand. So much faith was put into this movie that a new Alone in the Dark game was set to launch alongside it. Hell, Christian Slater was even supposed to be Edward Carnby in the game. They made a full character model for him and everything. But the developer Eden Games wisely decided to delay it and rework it from the ground up to completely disassociate itself with the motion picture. Did that game ever come out? Yes. But unfortunately, just like the 2005 film before it, that game went ahead and tarnished the reputation of every other game in one fell swoop.
Now give me my stone!
I don't have your stone, and you anyway!
Hey guys, Asai, Nero, Tran here. Thank you so much for watching our latest G1 Worst Ever. If you agreed with us or if you just enjoyed the video, please click that like button. And to make sure you're up to date on the latest and greatest videos on this channel, please click subscribe. If you want to see Shelby, Sean, or Tom's unedited or complete versions of their entries in this video, please click any one of the thumbnails on that top row. And if you want to check out other videos on this channel, please click any of the videos on that bottom row. We got the latest Asai, Nero, Tran comedy review, the last G1 Best Ever, and the top 10 video game movies. That's right, we went over the top 10 best, so you can watch that one right after you watch this one about what we consider the worst. What were your least favorite video game movies? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Double Dragon is like a super close second though. So like in the ultimate fight scene, Mark Dacascos's character, which is the final villain, he does a backflip from the second floor to the first floor, which is already really ridiculous, right? And then later on in that same scene, he does a backflip from the first floor to the second floor, and they literally just took the clip of him jumping from the second floor to the first floor and they played it backwards. And it's like in the final edit of the film, and it looks terrible. And I don't believe a human being actually edited that movie, and yet somehow it exists.